Yo, what's going on? What's going on? Justice Cameron. All right, so you know what time it is. You know the time. You know the rhyme. All right, so today, basically, what I wanted to discuss is the state trooper in Maryland who burst the guy's window open during a traffic stop. This was about like I think 2 days ago, as a matter of fact. I had just seen it online this morning. Just slid across my desk. Um, So basically, if you haven't seen the video, what happened was the guy was pulled over. The filming was done during the stop, so you didn't see what happened from the beginning to the end. But he basically pulled the guy over, had him pulled over, and the guy was asking him. He had his window cracked about like that much, which is like it's enough to hear and pass things through or what have you. But the officers, um, he was saying that he couldn't see what was going on in the vehicle. All right, so it was basically a guy sitting in his car, and he's being asked questions, and the dude was recording, and he's like, "Yo, well, why do I need to roll my window down even more?" He was like, "Because it's the law." He said, "What law?" So the guy was irritated. He was asking questions. It sounded like the guy knew his rights to me. And then the police officer got real irritated, or state trooper rather. He got irritated. State trooper looked like he was an Asian guy, and there was a black guy that was getting basically getting stopped and basically pretty much harassed at this point. So he's like, yeah, it's a lawful order for you to roll down your window. He was like, what law? And the guy was basically not trying to answer. And he was basically forcing him, telling him, calling for backup and telling him you need to roll your window down. The guy was resisting that bullshit illegal order. So what ended up happening was a guy told him again, it was a police officer pulling up because he called for backup. And he said, well, I'll go ahead and wait for the other officer. I need your superior here. You can't tell me what law it is that that I have to roll my window up, roll it down rather, roll my window down, and you're basically being very obtuse right now. Pretty much the gist of what was going on. A police officer eventually got mad and ended up smashing the guy's window and yanking him out anyway. First off, for a police officer to pull you over, it's a very tricky one because it's one of those things where it can be done if done incorrectly by a police officer, but if they're dirty enough that they know how to get away with it, it's a gray area. So if you're driving a vehicle, as far as I know, you can be stopped by a police officer just for at least they have to tell you what you've done wrong. Like if they pull you over, they have to identify why they stopped you, which is basically if you're being pulled over, you're being detained because they are pulling you over because there's a legal reason or law they think you have broken, which they need to check into. So the first thing they should do is ask you, from what my research indicates, they should ask you, well, you should ask them, are you being detained? Or you're free to go, and I tell you, you're being detained if it's done properly. You're being detained. The reason why I'm stopping you is such and such. Once that happens, it is what it is, but if you ask them about being detained, I'll tell you in a minute, license and registration. It's not really legal because at this point, you're basically not telling somebody why you pulled them over. And if you did have a reason for pulling them over, that should be presented up front. So, I mean, it's one of those things. But see, it's tricky because the problem with police officers that everybody has, a lot of these motherfuckers are completely power tripped. Like, I done dealt with dickhead state troopers before. I dealt with cool state troopers before. Like, the problem we have with these motherfuckers is that a lot of these guys are power tripped. Some of them aren't, but a lot of them are. And the problem is, like, yo, they are the judge, jury, and the fucking executioner when they pull you over. Especially if you're a black guy. Like, yo, like, automatically your chances of getting fucking beat up or some shit or shot by a police officer are dramatically higher, I feel like, if you're a black guy. So, with that said, like, yo, these guys, they're not being checked. Like when you try to fight them in court, the whole court system is against them, which goes back to what I was saying. Like, yo, you can't expect the law to go against the law in those particular situations. It very rarely happens like that. So when it does, it's not a common occurrence, man. And you got pretty much these dudes running around, and they're basically the judge, jury, and the executioner. So like, yo, yeah, he's not technically supposed to pull you over, but guess what? He's gonna fucking pull you over, even if you haven't done anything wrong, and he's gonna pull you out of the car and then question you. But I mean, like, yo, yeah, it's illegal, but who the fuck is there to tell him, hey, knock that off? Don't do that. There's no judge there when he's pulling you over. So it's one of those situations where it's like, yo, you ask for a superior, you might not get a superior, or he might beat the shit out you before the superior comes. Then when the superior comes, they all get on the same story, and it's a bullshit story, of course, if you haven't done anything wrong, and you end up going to jail anyway. It's just a fucked up situation. Um, there was one guy in the comment section of the video. I think he was from the UK or some shit. I don't know, but he was basically saying, "Yeah, it looks like to me that your police officers aren't there to protect you. You guys need to rise up against the government because um, they're basically soldiers from the government meant to keep you in fear." Here's the problem with that, man. A lot of Americans are very complacent with the way things are going, as long as it's not fucking them up. Which is human nature. I mean, if something doesn't affect you, a lot of people just don't want to get involved in it. So, I mean, that's just the human nature, I guess. So, I mean, a lot of people, they're not getting harassed by police. Some are, some aren't. And the ones that aren't always think the ones that are lying or bullshitting or something like that. I doubt that'll ever happen, man. So, some other solutions I was thinking of, man, like, yo, what do you think can be done about this shit for real? Like, there's no training because at the end of the day, this shit is ego. And you can increase the amount of officers that are getting in trouble for that shit, you can put a law into place, but everybody knows that shit ain't gonna be followed. There's a blue wall of silence everybody's maintaining who's on the force, so that ain't as easy as it sounds either. So, what do you guys think could be done about something like that, man? You think they could do something like maybe some robot police officers or some shit, like they would get hacked, and then that would be a problem too? I honestly don't know, man. At this point, I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section how you feel about this particular topic. Meanwhile, I'm going to go punch this clock. Have a nice one. Like and subscribe if you could. And drop a comment and I'll respond maybe. Peace out.